Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Center for Healthy Living. My name is Mike Desjardins, the manager of Employer Wellness. You're joining us tonight. We're posting from the Center for Healthy Living. This is another part of our healthy eating series. I'm here with our one and only Chef Daryl, who I've introduced a few times. This evening, we are doing something a little special. Today, we have a box which is similar to what you would get if you did a Hello Fresh or one of those recipe boxes at home, except ours was extra special because it was presented and put together by the experts over at Griffin Hospital. So here I have a box, and I'm going to open this up for you. And in this box, these are the ingredients for tonight's dinner. It's a ginger Szechuan salmon with a farro pilaf and a kale. Great idea, posted by the chef to keep it nice and healthy. I'm gonna put this back over in the refrigerator in a minute to keep it fresh. So you'll notice this evening that the chef will have all the ingredients ready. Our plan is again to keep people eating healthy, to let them know that they can make these dinners, to not be intimidated by some of the ingredients. And what Chef Daryl and his team put together was all the ingredients in one box, fresh fillets of salmon, and all the things you need to prepare. We do have the recipe posted in the comments section on Facebook tonight. And please send in questions as we're making this dinner. And we're going to move forward with the event this evening. And let me introduce Chef Daryl here tonight.
Good evening. Good evening. So what we have here, like Mike said, is our Szechuan ginger salmon and a farro and kale pilaf. What we wanted to do with this box was make things very convenient um, and very easy for you to execute. So when we jump into this recipe, what I'll do is I'll explain to you what the recipe is saying and how we've made it just a little bit more convenient for you. So let's start with the salmon fillets. So in the bowl we have a salmon fillet that is marinating in the Szechuan sauce, which was provided, right? So now we don't have to worry about preparing a Szechuan sauce. It's already done. It has the lemon zest in it and all of the components that come into that Szechuan sauce. What I have done is preheated our oven to 425 so that we can, when we get this going, it's going to give us a nice crust. It's going to cook really quickly. While that's cooking, we're going to get our farro pilaf going. What I have here is a greased pan, our marinated salmon. And when you marinate, you want to marinate for at least a minimum of 2 hours. 1 hour if you're in a rush, but I recommend at least 2 hours. Overnight is best, always, right? For maximum flavor to really have the aromatics, the herbs, and the seasonings really penetrate the protein. You want to at least do it overnight. But if you don't have that kind of time to do it overnight, 1 to 2 hours, is recommended, will be just as fine. So on our greased pan, we'll take our marinated salmon fillets. We want to space those out, maybe like an inch apart. Let's rub that marinade all over the fish. And today we're using salmon, but if you're not a salmon person, this could be a whitefish. This could be pollock. This could be cod. Um, this could be any of those fish, whatever you prefer. This could be sea bass. All right. So we have that all set.
Hey, Chef, I noticed this evening that you altered the recipe just a little bit.
Yes.
Can you elaborate a little? These look great, by the way.
So, the original recipe called for us to finish our farro with pine nuts. However, to make it a nut-free dish, I substituted the pine nuts with sunflower seeds.
Oh,
So we
excellent.
still get the crunch, we still get that texture within our farro, but it's nut-free.
Ah,
Okay,
excellent. Thanks for
so
explaining that.
absolutely. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to pop this straight into the oven for 8 to 9 minutes. And we will begin our farro pilaf. Now, according to our recipe, which is located in the comments, what we want to do is we want to start with carrot, uh, onion, and celery, and saute that into a pan until it starts to caramelize a little bit, bringing the sugars out of those vegetables. Then what we'll do is we'll add the farro dry to that. We'll coat that in olive oil and get it nice and toasty, bring out that really nutty flavor in the farro, and then we would add our chicken stock to that. Now, what we've done over at Griffin to make this a lot more convenient for you is we've taken that procedure out of it, and this farro is already prepared and ready to add to the pan. So what we'll do first is we'll start get this pan warm. We'll cut it up. I will go mid-high heat. Add our olive oil, which is already portioned out. This takes the thought of everything out. It takes the um, measuring out of it, and it makes it very convenient. So we're just going to oil our pan here. Fresh olive oil. You can use whatever healthy oil you choose, avocado oil, things of that nature, right? So, and avocado oil is very popular right now, but we have a nice extra virgin olive oil. We're going to let that heat a little bit before we start to add our onions, which is portioned out for you. And you can imagine after a long, hard day's work, coming home to a fresh box of ingredients to just put together for your family is a very, very convenient thing. And this is located at Griffin Hospital in our dining facility. You just come up to the cashier and say, "Hi, I would like to purchase one of the Cook with the Chef boxes." You pay that. I believe this box was $29.99. You get 4 pieces of salmon, uh, and a large portion, a nice portion of farro. All right. So what we want to look for in this saute pan is for our oil to start to get wavy. You can see small waves into the pan. If you're not seeing that and it's kind of taking a while, just adjust it. Everybody's stove is different. Everybody's range top is different, so you want to play with it. The range top here works really, really well. So I don't want to overheat this because what will happen is our onions will burn. We don't want to do that. So one way to check to see if this is ready is to make sure you're checking for these waves in it. So we're just about there. We're gonna add our onions. You can hear that sizzle.
Hey, Chef, one of the questions came in. The question was, since salmon tends to be an oilier fish, does it change your options for what kind of oil you use in the pan
No,
for some of the other
no,
ingredients?
no, no. So salmon is a oily fish. However, those are healthy oils located in the salmon. So it's not something that should concern you. In addition, olive oil is also a healthy oil. So what we have here is a combination of healthy oils that shouldn't concern you. Also, what's going to happen with this cooking procedure is the onions will start to absorb some of the olive oil and the flavor from the olive oil.
Yep.
The olive oil will start to thin out, and right now you can visually see the olive oil in the pan. But once we get this going and we have all the components in the pan, you won't see the olive oil as much, right?
And salmon's loaded with omega threes,
Absolutely.
and it's a very, very healthy fish with loaded with protein and dietary fiber. So it's a great choice for tonight's dinner.
Absolutely. And I understand some people don't like uh, what is explained sometimes as the fishy taste that salmon
Yeah,
has.
yeah.
However, marinating your fish overnight takes some of that flavor that is not desirable out of it, and then gives you more of the Szechuan flavor. So, what we want to do is kind of get these
That looks great.
these onions translucent. So I know a lot of the time we talk about onions and we talk about how do we cut them without crying, right? So one step is to have a very sharp knife, and the second step, which I found out through a chef friend of mine over at the hospital, Chef Rizio, is if we cut the onion and we do not cut the root of the onion, which holds the enzymes that make people cry, you're less likely to have those tears whenever you're cooking, right? So we got the onions going. We don't need them to caramelize. What we'll do now is we'll add our kale.
And I heard something that might be a myth, Chef, but someone said to me, if your knife is really sharp,
Hmm.
it doesn't affect the onion as much.
It does not affect the onion as
So
much.
that's true. There's truth to that.
There is truth to that. In addition to, you want to avoid cutting the root. If we don't,
Ah,
so the sharpness of your knife comes into play whenever we're slicing, is making a very defined
yeah.
incision in the onion, right? Which is less likely to break up those enzymes in the root, which makes tears come and makes you
Because
cry.
I know I
Right,
can't stand cutting up onions.
right.
My wife will say, "Go dice some onions." I'd rather go do something else.
It it's one of those things. But let's try this at home. Let's try to avoid cutting the root and see if there's
I'm
as much
definitely gonna
tears.
try that.
Right.
Definitely gonna try that.
So we have our kale going right now. Um, while that's going, let's to point out a couple more components here. Right. We have some garlic already minced for you. Anybody that cuts their garlic fresh at home knows how much of a hassle it is to continue to scrape the garlic off of the knife once you get it really minced. And the finer we cut it, the more it tends to stick to the blade. So we have that already prepared for you. We also have our sunflower seeds here, all set for you. Salt, pepper, our cranberries dried. And as I mentioned before, our kale, our farro is already cooked and ready to be added here. So, one thing that I do at home to speed up cooking my kale is once I got a good sizzle on my pan, what I do is add maybe a quarter cup of water. And what that does is it helps steam the kale while it's in the pan. So now this is steaming. The onions are nice and translucent. We got this all going. Smells really good already. So now when we added the water to the pan, what that did was it reduced the temperature of the pan significantly. So what we want to do now before we add the garlic in is kind of let our pan get back up to temp. As you can see, this kale is very bright green. It's starting to break down. Kale is a vegetable that is part of the collard green family, right? So that leaf is a very tender leaf, but if it's not cooked properly, it could be very tough to eat and very hard to digest as well. So what we want to do is make sure that that's breaking down so that it's nice and tender to the bite and it's not too tough. So we're there. What we're going to do now is we're going to add our pre-measured garlic.
Chef,
And
the goal of this box, chef, was to make sure that everyone can follow this at home, correct?
very, very much so, and make it very easy. And also, let's cut down some of the prep and cook time it takes
Yeah.
to prepare a meal for the family, especially after a long day of work.
And
Right?
this came out to be, what did we say, $7 a person, $7.50 a
A,
person?
a little less than $8 a person.
That's amazing, and that's a dinner for four,
A dinner for four. That's cheaper than McDonald's.
all packed and ready to go.
Ready to go.
People were able to purchase this dinner in the Griffin cafeteria. We
Yep.
started this on Tuesday. We concluded today. Obviously, we're streaming tonight. It was a great idea. It's a great deal, and we're going to be doing more of this. So stay tuned for that. Not to take away from tonight's dinner, but it was, how else can you get that for under $30 for a family of four? I mean, with healthy food.
I couldn't think of a place
Yeah.
where I can go to get a meal like this for that price. So what we're gonna do now,
This looks
the
great.
garlic smells wonderful. The onions are nice and translucent. This kale is really breaking down. What we want to do now is we want to add our farro. Now the farro is cold, so we want to make sure that we heat it properly. So we're gonna give it probably 2 to 3 minutes in this pan. And all the while, remember that our salmon is joyfully baking in the oven with all of those delicious Szechuan marinating flavors. And when this all comes out, we're going to plate it up and we're going to have dinner. And you guys cook this at home easily. You guys can cook this at home easily. So we have it all going here. If you can look at this while we're streaming, you notice where's the olive oil? We don't see it, do we? So those concerns about, maybe your food being too greasy or maybe it being too much oil, we see none of that here. So we're moving that around. We're sauteing now. So saute means to move around quickly in very little oil. That's what the definition of saute is. So right now, that's exactly what we're doing. At a medium-high heat, what I want to do is I want to cut this down even more to a medium-low, because what you don't want to happen is you don't want to overcook this farro. Becomes mush. So the last components to this are our sunflower seeds and our cranberries. Just a little bit of sweet to add to the savoriness of the kale and of the farro, right? So if you find that, okay, I'm doing this, I got my farro going, it's a little too dry in the pan, that's whenever we go back to the water and we just add a little more. And we're continuing to move this around.
And
How does
Chef,
this look at home?
I don't want
I
to
wonder.
interrupt. I want to remind people that
Yeah.
we when we're finished with these live demos, we do put this onto our YouTube page
Mm-hmm.
under Griffin Health, so you can easily find any of our recipes and our videos right on YouTube. If you go to Griffin Health, we have it streamed on there. You guys can go back and record and look at the recording to see exactly in case you missed something. I know
Absolutely.
I had a question at work today when I was in the cafeteria. They're like, "What about if I missed the live stream tonight with the chef?" I'm like, well, we'll have the recipe for you, but you could always go back onto YouTube. She was really happy with that. So
Absolutely. And speaking of being able to go back and find our YouTube videos as a resource, there are still boxes for sale of this meal in our dining servery. So if you're looking at this video and you say, wow, I wish I would have bought one, you still can. So if you come in tomorrow, we do have a few boxes left that we can sell, and you guys can make this tomorrow, and you can follow along with me um, via YouTube or the Griffin Facebook page. All right, so now that this is done, what we want to do is just season it. What we're going to do is kill the heat all together because this is done. I would do a couple of pinches of salt, which you have not seen us use any so far, but we just want to bring out those natural flavors of the kale, of the farro. Just a couple of pinches, which would end up being probably a teaspoon, and the same with the black pepper. Just a couple of pinches there. And then we're going to incorporate all of that seasoning by just moving this all around here. And we want to take our time. It's no rush. We want to be gentle. When we kind of have really quick movements inside the pan, we tend to spill things all over our stove and waste a lot of what should be on the plate and we should be consuming, right? So just take our time here. Mix all of this in. This looks really good. Everything's very tender. As you can see, it looks really colorful, bright green. The purple from the cranberries, the translucentness of the onion, the garlic here, right? The olive oil, which we don't even see anymore, right? Dry pan pretty much. So now what we want to do while this is still hot is we want to check on our salmon. Which has about 1 minute left. Any questions, Mike? While we're waiting for the salmon
no, I'm
to
going
finish?
through right now.
Okay.
We answered the nut question.
Mm-hmm.
We answered the oil question. Let's see. Let's see. Amy posted that the prep work looked good. She's looking forward to trying the salmon.
Okay.
We have a Doug that gave us a double thumbs up.
Awesome.
Loves watching Chef Daryl.
Awesome.
Let's see. Who else? Let's see. We have a Eunice, our friend Eunice, who's down south, who's watching us on the live stream. Hi, Eunice. Nice to see
Eunice.
you watching. We have a Michael out there that's watching. So most of the comments were just giving us like praise and thumbs up.
Awesome.
But no
awesome.
specific questions.
Well, we saw how easy this was to kind of execute. We're done here. This is hot, ready to go. Our salmon will be getting pulled out momentarily, and then we're going to plate up, and then we're good to go.
Doug said he loves Chef Daryl. Keep it going.
Thanks, Doug. I appreciate that. Okay, so what we'll do now is, we'll pull this salmon out.
I can't wait to see this, Chef. I'm not going anywhere. I got to see this. This is the best part of the show. We get to see the chef put it all together. They played it up. It looks great. So just to while he's getting this ready, we do this healthy eating series from our Center for Healthy Living, and really what we do is we teach lifestyle medicine. We want everyone to think healthier, eat healthier. We're not forcing this on anyone. We try to give them the options for a great price. And whether it's Mediterranean style cooking or anything, we watch the diet fads, and what it comes down to is just making the right choices. taking the time to meal plan and make a right decision. Maybe not go for that piece of pizza. Maybe go for something a little bit leaner. Maybe you're going to go with a fish or with a salad with protein or a tuna. It's not to say that you can't have that cheat meal every now and again, but when you're thinking as we age, it takes more for us to lose those extra pounds that we put on. So eating healthy like this more often and creating habits, especially for your children, go a really long way. We've done a lot with some of the youth programs and really encouraging these kids to consider other options. Show them things like kale chips and chickpea crunchies and healthy snacks that they've never been introduced to before. So that's one of the things we do out of this Center for Healthy Living is promote this kind of healthy behavior through education and exercise, and it's all evidence-based what we show here. We have a great collaborative partner in the teaching kitchen, which is based out of Sonoma County. They give us a lot of great stuff to work with. So it's been a pleasure being able to work with Chef and highlight some of the meals that we do. And this is a typical meal that you'll see, at Griffin in the Calf. I mean, it's the best unknown restaurant, we call it, right? Nobody knows, but it's great there. So go ahead, Chef. I mean, that looks great.
So what we have is our finished entree here. And what I'm doing just for garnish is I'm going to black pepper this salmon. I hit it with a little kosher salt. And this is ready to be served for a family of four here. One key element here is please make sure you grease this pan beforehand. As you can see, the salmon came right off, slid right onto my spatula, and I slid that off with a pair of tongs. And now we have our dish here, and it's ready to be served.
That looks awesome.
Szechuan salmon with a kale and farro pilaf. And there you have it.
Excellent, Chef. So we want to thank everyone for tuning in today. We're going to be, again, continuing this Cooking with the Chef series. We'll be back here February 9th around 6 p.m. To host a different menu item. I'm not going to disclose what that is yet. I want people to think about it, and hopefully they'll tune in.
Almost spilled the beans there, Mike.
No, almost. And again, we'll have these boxes already made for people in our Griffin cafeteria, so you can stop by. You get a great rate on the box, and it's going to be something awesome to cook with us or to watch the stream afterwards on Vimeo, on YouTube. Sorry. So again, thank you, Chef Daryl.
Thank you
Always
very
a pleasure
much.
working with the best. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and looking forward to speaking with you again soon. Have a great evening. I'm going to go try some of this salmon now. Thank you.
Good night.